Students, today let's talk about globalization. So first of all, let's start with the basic meaning of globalization. Globalization is nothing only the integration of world economies. The process of internationalization of products, markets, technologies, capital, HR, information and cultures is known as the globalization. Globalization involves the free flow of goods and services among different countries. It shifts towards a more integrated and interdependent world economy. This was said by Charles Hill. The growing economic interdependence of countries worldwide through increasing volume and variety of cross border transactions of goods and services and of international capital flows, and also through more rapid and widespread diffusion of technology, is called globalization. The definition was given by International Monetary Fund. Let's focus on the main features of globalization. Globalization involves expansion of business operations. As you know, when we talk about globalization, it means we are going to cross our boundaries, our territories, and we are going for trading with the rest of the nations in terms of the transactions of goods and services. So that's why our business operations expand. It leads to integration of individual countries into one global market. So when we integrate all the countries of the world with the help of import and export, then we can say that this is the one market where so many market players are operating or dealing with the customers, or you can say the buyers and the sellers. It creates interdependency between nations because there is two sides always in the market, buyers and sellers. Few nations act as the buyers and few nations act as the sellers. So there is always interdependency in terms of business on each other of the nations. It involves smooth transactions of goods and services. It is the expansion of business beyond domestic territory, but obvious because we have to cross our borders. That is called international trade involves, right? So factors of production sourced from the entire globe. When we need some factors, say for example, we are running a business firm, and suppose we have some requirement of the resources to be imported from the other countries, maybe America, maybe Russia, maybe Japan, right? So with the help of globalization, now we are in a situation to meet out all these requirements. We can import the goods, we can import the services, we can import the personals, we can import the ideas, we can import the technical know-how. So many things we can import, right, after the globalization. Or we can also export to help some other countries if they are in need of something to support their business. The products are planned and developed for world market. This is the market where the products are planned and developed according to the world population, as per their trend, as per their fashion, as per their taste, preferences, and you can say their life requirement. So accordingly we can make changes in our products and services when we are going to provide all over the world. So internationally, we have focus on the 5 stages of globalization, and these stages have been quoted by Kenichi Ohim. According to him, domestic country exports to foreign countries through the dealers and distributors of home country. For example, India is a domestic country, and India is dealing with the exports to the foreign countries. For example, if we are talking about our exports with USA, and we need to export our goods and services with the help of dealers and distributors of the home country. So there is also a channel of distributors and dealers who will help the businessman to provide goods and services out of the national boundary. Number 2, domestic country exports to foreign countries directly on its own by creating a separate export department for this purpose. So second stage is that the country, for example India, who is dealing with the exports to the USA, as we have taken the example of USA directly, so they can create their own export department, and accordingly they can meet out their export requirements. Number 3, domestic country establishes production and marketing operations in key foreign countries. This is the third category, where the domestic country establishes their you can say production and marketing operations in key foreign countries, mean the major countries where their dealing is the maximum. Say for example USA, say for example Russia, say for example Japan, France, and any other country where we having very smooth and friendly relationships, so we give the priority to those countries. Number 4, the company sets up a full-fledged company in foreign country with all the facilities. So number 4 stage includes that a company can establish or can set up a full-fledged company, means a new company in a foreign country with all the facilities, so that the other country can have a direct benefit of the company's branch of the main country that has been set up in another country. Company becomes a true transnational company by serving the needs of foreign customers just like the host country's company serves. And the last stage is company becomes a true transnational company, and it provides or you can say it serves the needs of foreign customers just like we for example if host country, or you can say the domestic country, if there is a company in the domestic country, so the company as serves the domestic you can say the customers. Similarly, the transnational company also serve for the foreign customers to meet out their needs, their choices, their requirements as per their taste, trend and fashion, so you can say their preferences, so they meet out all those requirements of the foreign customers. Now let's focus on essential condition for globalization, means when the globalization can be possible. Number 1, removal of quotas and tariffs. If we go for removing quotas and tariffs, quota and tariffs are a special kind of taxes which are involved in when we deal with international trade. Quotas means the taxes imposed on the quantity of output, and tariffs are the you can say tax rate that is imposed on imports, right, not on the basis of quantity. Number 2, liberalization of rules and regulations. If we go on smoothing all the procedures through which a company can deal with the imports and exports with rest of the nation, so it can promote globalization. Freedom to business and industry. If we give, we means the government. If the government provides the freedom to the companies of a particular nation to deal with the rest of the world for their business and industry, and give them liberty, or you can say the freedom to expand their business and industries, so in this way the globalization can help to expand them. Removal of bureaucratic formalities and procedures. If there is a complete removal of the bureaucratic formalities and procedure, because there are so many mediators who are involved in the proceedings, and they you can say have some excellent earnings through charging with the charging from the companies who are interested to deal with the foreign companies. So if there is a removal of bureaucratic formalities and procedures, so if such kind of mediators are avoided, then the globalization may be helpful for the expansion of business. Adequate infrastructure and competitive market. Adequate infrastructure is required, and competitive market is also required if you want to expand your business in the global market. Autonomy to PDUs, public distribution units. If the autonomy means the freedom is given to public distribution units, then it can be very helpful for a nation. Incentives for R&D. If the government provides incentives for the companies to promote for their research and development, to promote for their innovative ideas in with respect to product designing, product intrinsic values, product differentiation, you know so it can play a very good measure. It can play a very good role for the promotion of business. Administrative and government support to industry. If the government and administration support to the company who is interested to deal with the rest of the nations either through imports and exports, then definitely the business will expand. Development of money markets and capital markets. The government focus on the development of money markets and capital markets with the expansion of money markets and capital markets, so that the business may be expanded. Let's focus on the indicators of globalization. How can we find out in the market that the globalization has been introduced? Because there are some indicators, so let's focus on these indicators one by one. Share of foreign trade in national income. The share of foreign trade in national income indicates that we have that we are involved in globalization, because a significant part of national income includes the earnings from exports. Foreign investment as a proportion of total investment in the country. How many foreign nations or how many foreign companies are coming into our home country to make further investment in different sectors? So it can be a better indicator of the globalization, right? Foreign exchange transactions as a proportion of total value of transactions in the economy. How many foreign nationals, how many foreign companies, how many foreign governments are making transactions in our home country? So the total value that has been you can say generated after the transactions of the foreign nationals or the foreign companies, so that it can be identified with the help of those earnings that we have entered in globalization. International tourism traffic. If too many tourists are coming in day-to-day life in every week or daily or monthly basis, and they are visiting new places, or for example I am talking about India, they are visiting new places of India because so many pilgrimages are there, and at many places the foreigners in daily routine come and they stay in India and they spend more and more. So this is a very good indicator that globalization is emigrant and immigrant population. So on the basis of emigrant and immigrant population means how many people are going outside and how many people are going from outside to inside of the country. So this particular population chunk can also be a very good indicator of the globalization. Share of foreign remittances. What is the share of foreign remittances in our you can say the budget? So it can also show the position of the globalization. Share of foreign remittances means how many payments remittances we have to make, right? Because payments are the result after the transaction something. It means we have received something from that, that's why we have to pay the remittances. Okay. So value of debits and credits through balance of payments. So what is the value of debits and credits to balance of payment? What is balance of payment? Balance of payment is the financial statement of a nation which involves the transactions of goods and services within 1 year with rest of the world. So that financial statement is known as the balance of payments. It has two sides, debits and credits, right? So these two sides indicates the total budget for, or you can say the total earnings from, or you can say the payment side and receipt side of the government from imports and exports, right? So the value of BOP, if it is surplus, then it will is a very good indicator of the globalization. If it is in negative, so negative means that so many imports are there but lesser quantity of exports is there, so we have to make so too much payments to the rest of the world, so that is not a favorable situation. So we always look for positive balance of payments always, right? Okay. Share of domestic output of foreign multinationals and foreign output of domestic multinationals in the country's national income. So the share of domestic output of foreign multinationals means so many MNCs are there established in India. So if they are dealing with the, you can say, their products, so we can find out the share of domestic output of foreign multinationals. And the foreign output of domestic multinational means if suppose there are a few MNCs which we have established in the some other countries, so similarly they will also focus on that how much output has been introduced by our company in the rest of the countries, and they can accordingly calculate their national income. Next is strategies for globalization. There are so many strategies which we follow to increase the globalization rate. Number one, exporting. We can export. So many items are there to be exported. Licensing and franchising. We can go for taking license. We can go for taking franchisee. Contact manufacturing. We can also make the contacts for the purpose of manufacturing. Management contract. For example, we need some management experts, so we can sign a contract with the rest of the companies of the different countries. So management contract can also be there. Turnkey contract. What is turnkey contract? To design and build an entire operation which can be turned over to the local personnel on completion who have been trained by the company. So that is called, this kind of contract is known as turnkey contract. Third country location. So we can decide any other location in the third country so that we can you can say speed up the rate of globalization. Joint ventures, we can establish joint ventures, and direct investment, we can go for making direct investments. So these are the strategies for globalization. Now what are the advantages of globalization? Number one, wider market. We can have wider markets because the global market is too wider because more than 200 countries are there. So if we call it a single market, so this is very you can say wider market, so many buyers and sellers are there. Rapid industrialization, it involves or it promote the rapid industrialization in a nation. Greater specialization, because there is huge competition, so automatically the people are get specialized in their working area. Competitive gains, due to a huge or you can say high degree of competition, we gain more and more, we can gain lots of benefit from this competitive environment. High production, because so many customers are there in the market, that's why we always try to produce more and more and to take the more and more advantage from the globalization. Price stabilization, we always try to get the prices stabilized, right, automatically, because there is a high degree of competition, so sometimes the price may be stabilized. Employment and income generation, it also promotes the employment generation, because under the globalization, we always go for establishing our branches, or you can say the MNCs and TNCs, so that with such kind of companies we can provide the employment. So if you provide employment, then the people will get job and opportunities, and they will get income in their hands. So in totality, we can say that globalization may help in income generation. High standards of living, because of providing employment, now the people have in their hand excellent income, excellent salaries, and now they can spend this salary to meet out their requirements, even to maintain their standard of living. International economic cooperation, because we are dealing with the foreign market, so so many problems we can face, so we need you can say economic cooperation, you can say smooth relationship with the rest of the world, and through which we can create an environment of peace. So means world peace is also very very important. So it depends on how you can say how in a better way we have maintained our relationship with the rest of the world. So we always try to avoid cross border tensions. Say for example, in case of India and China, for political issues are there, and similarly in case of India and Pakistan, some political territorial um, you can say feuds are there. So such kind of situations we need to avoid, only then we can have more and more benefit after avoiding such kind of disputes from the globalization. Now disadvantages, interdependence. One side we can say globalization is more and more advantages, but this is actually the two sides of a coin. Sometimes it can be more advantageous for us, but it is not free from disadvantages also. So there are some disadvantages of the also automatically introduced from the globalization. Number one, interdependence. So to compete in the globalization and to deal with the rest of the nations and to make friendly relationship with the rest of the nations, sometimes a situation appears when we become dependent. You can say interdependency developed between the nations. So sometimes the people will try to exploit you in the long run. So they take another advantage from, you can say, from a particular nation. Threat to domestic industry. If the domestic industry is too much dependent on other countries for getting support of them, for getting support from them, then they can try to treat they can try to give threat to the domestic country in terms of their bargaining power, or in terms of their industrial agreements, you can say contracts, while signing their contracts and agreements. Unemployment, sometimes what happens due to globalization, because there is a competition, too much competition is there, sometimes if your relationship is not very smooth, then some MNCs and DNC may decided to close down their units, and this will if they decided to shut down or close down their units, then they will definitely increase the total number of unemployed persons in the economy. So this will be a very, you can say, dangerous situations in the long run. exploitation of resources. When the other countries enter into our country and establish their own branches, so for the establishment of their branches, what they do, they actually try to exploit our resources. So there is always the exploitation of resources involved. Technological dependence. Technically, if we are weak in technical know-how, so for the technological advances we have to be dependent on other countries, and if other countries are providing us updated technical know-how and technological instruments, electronical appliances and so on, then our dependency will be more and more on them, so they can treat us um, very badly in the long run if they feel such kind of threat kind of environment can be there, slavery kind of environment can be there. Okay, now obstacles to globalization of India. So no doubt that after the announcement of the industrial policy in 1999, globalization has got the speed in India. So but even then there are some obstacles to the globalization of India. No, in modern times we are dealing with the rest of the world, but still few obstacles are there which I have been listed here. Bureaucracy is always there because some mediators are there who are taking unnecessary benefit, or you can say the people are less literate, they do not know the procedure through which they can go into the foreign market. That's why they search for some mediators in the market, you can say bureaucrats. They charge some money from them, and unnecessarily bureaucratic environment develops. And sometimes the proposal from the government departments we need to pass, and we need to take approval from them, and unnecessarily delays there. So that is bureaucracy involves in this atmosphere. Poor quality and poor infrastructure. What are the obstacles in India? Basically because infrastructure of India as compared to the other developed nations is too weak, so we need to focus on the to make our infrastructure strong, and quality is also poor, so sometimes it can create a problem for inviting the other companies to establish their units in our nation, so get benefit in monetary terms as well as to generate employment opportunities. Obsolete technology, because sometimes what happens that technology becomes obsolete and we need updated technology, so this can be a hurdle for India, and due to which we have to be dependent on the other countries who are developing technologically. Resistance to change. Because of our intrinsic environment, now we are bound to change, and if nobody is trying to keep pace with the changing atmosphere, then nobody can grow. So for each and every nation this rule is applicable, and we need to change according to the time period. Lack of professional management. There is always a lack of professional management. So because professionally management is not made efficiently, so this can be an obstacle for globalization. Limited R&D, because research and development is limited, and research, when we compare our research with the rest of the world, then we find that our research area is too weak, and we are not you can say um, not 100% weak, but in few areas we are not we have not improved our research. So in that case sometimes it can create an obstacle for us. Trade barriers are there in the form of custom duty, in the form of tariffs, and in the form of, you can say, industrial disputes, and these trade barriers create obstacle in the way of globalization. High cost. Sometimes it becomes very costly to invite some countries, or you can say some foreign companies, in our domestic territory, and it also becomes very costly sometimes to go out of our national boundary and to establish you can say new firms and new companies. So sometimes it involves very high cost, so it does not become feasible for us to borne high cost, right? So this was the basic idea about the globalization. So for today this much is over, and in the next lecture I will start with a new topic. Till then, goodbye.